Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's RISM Graduate Entry Scheme tutorial for August 2026 Exam Brief Guide. What we're going to do is we're going to apply this for Applied Valuation AV1 and also Applied Valuation AV2. My name is Thong. I'm a probationary valuer PV3377 and also PEA 4525. So today we're going to do what we call chapter 1. Now, in chapter 1, we're going to learn how valuer works. And they work using Malaysian Valuation Standard 2025 edition. The latest one was created and issued and published to all valuers on 2025. Now, in this particular MVS or Malaysian Valuation Standard, we're going to study what standard number 7 says about approaches, valuation approaches. Chapter 1, Malaysian Valuation Standard 2025 compliance for comparison method or comparison approach in AV1 plus AV2. And this will correspond to sales and market comparison method. Yeah. Fundamentally, for comparison approach MVS 7, which is Malaysian Valuation Standards regarding valuation approaches, you need to know so that you can take the exam easily. First, the core principle. Comparison method or comparison approach provides a value indication as instructed by your client by comparing the subject property that belongs to your client with identical or similar assets with available price information. In simple English means you are to compare your subject property, the property that you are valuing, we call it subject property, with property that has been transacted earlier on that will reflect the market value based on available information that is JPPH data. So we are getting a value by comparing any properties that nearby to your property, subject property, based on JPPH data transaction. The maximizing input. Valuer must seek the maximum use of market-driven inputs. You are, based on MVS 7 for comparison approach, using comparison method calculation, you are to use what we call open market and actively traded property comparables. English means you use properties that are comparable to your subject property that are actively being marketed, that has no restrictions, there's no other conditions, it's open for everybody to purchase. So this is important. Later in this particular video tutorial, we will actually show to you which are not open market, direct and indirect. Direct is example an apartment. Apartment that has one floor, you have 10 units, two corner units, and then the rest are all called intermediate apartment units. The intermediate, the 8 of them are almost identical. They have the same layout, they have the same built square feet, and they may even have where the switches are always the same. So we call them almost identical. So when they're almost identical, we can use the value and then take in consideration of time. Maybe the last transaction was quite some time ago, and we take into consideration of the time. Yeah. Indirect. Indirect properties are like bungalow. A bungalow in Sierra Mas. The owner buys the piece of land and then he gets his architect to design the bungalow facade to what he likes. It probably looks like a castle. It probably looks like a kampong house. But one thing for sure, there will be no other bungalows exactly the same like his, design like his, square foot like his, and then everything else like his. So therefore, this is what we call indirect. But in properties like bungalows or pretty unique design buildings, we will use what we call a split technique. The split technique means we will calculate the land value, just like when he bought the land, and then we calculate the construction cost that he built his bungalow on. In event that it collapsed and we have to rebuild everything, what is the cost? Of course, we take in consideration of the depreciation, the number of years he used his property. That's where we won't compensate him. Just imagine a car. You have a car you've been using for 5 years, and then it meets an accident. It total loss. Of course, the insurance will only covers the part that you have not used yet. Any depreciation will not be included into the total loss payment out or compensation. So, another thing, properties are rarely identical. That's why I say the apartment is almost identical. Why? The eight apartments intermediate may look exactly the same, but the owner would have done some renovation, making the kitchen bigger, making the kitchen better, has more amenities, added more power points, and everything else. All this will makes the property not identical or 100% identical. So therefore, in MVS 7, we call them heterogeneous, or another technical term we use is non-homogeneous, non the same. Now, like I said, in properties, we have to use open market as well as actively traded. Here is a slide or comparison method. It's called sales search. And in this is a JPPH data. JPPH data, let's take number one, the SP. Subject property is 5 Jalan Pinggiran 2/5. And it happens to be here in Google Map, Desa Pinggiran Putra. So it happens to be that particular pin. And then in that pin, we can obtain the last transacted property for Desa Pinggaran Putra. Happens to be on the 5th of August 2024, but it's on the 10, number 10, Jalan Pinggaran Putra 2/4. Where else the exact road would be 18, Unit 18, Jalan Putra 2/5, but it is in 2017 18 August. So we want the latest property comparables because then it will reflect the most current market value, right? So obviously the one that we should use is August 2024, although it may not be on the same road, but it is within the same Taman Desa Pinggaran Putra. So this is how we do comparison method. It should have more than that. Let's look at a past year question. A past year question, this is a past year question in AV1. Okay. It's for Land Acquisition Act. First thing we must know, Land Acquisition Act, based on court precedents, they have made it very clear that no matter what property is being acquired by the government for public purposes, the compensation must be based on market value. In this particular case, Lot 234 happens to be a Malay agriculture settlement, a Malay reserve. It does not matter as long as land acquisition, even Malay reserve, government property, even native Orang Asli's land, also Sultan's land will be valued at market value. So this question here is first, let's look at the comparable. They provide for comparables. The first comparable is, of course, vacant land. Okay. Once it's vacant land, it does not have other status. This is open market and actively traded. Anyone can purchase the property. Imagine that. Okay. The next one is Malay Reserve. Vacant land, but Malay Reserve. Only Malays can purchase. Not Bumiputra, but Malays. So this is has conditions. Therefore, it is not open market and Malay Reserve land is not actively traded, but it can only be traded to another person who happens to have the birthrights of a Malay. So this particular comparable is not usable in our land acquisition. So the question here is, since you understand that under land acquisition, you must choose market value or open market or actively traded property. The third one obviously has no Malay reserve, no government land or institution land, or native people's land or orang asli land, right? So it's available for you to choose. And then, of course, the fourth one also just vacant land. Now, it will be an open market and actively traded. So this question is about you choosing the right comparable because you will have read MVS 7 based on comparison approach. You must choose what we call open market and actively traded and avoid lands that are Malay reserve, government land or institutional land, kesultanan land, or even orang asli or native land. So these four categories you are not supposed to choose. Now, look at the next one. This one is Sekolah Putra. It is used to be a institutional land, but here is the catch. The subject property is currently under the institution land use zoning. However, the local planning authority has given blanket approval for commercial use. Now, the land use have changed to commercial, so it becomes open market. Now, in this particular question, it provides you with all the comparables, the transaction that happened earlier on. Yeah, this is important because this question is a 2026 question. Your date of valuation during examination is important. In this case, if it's 2026, you took the paper in August, then you can select August 2026. Yeah. So obviously, you can see that it is for commercial. The first one, it is residential. You have to choose identical or almost identical. So choosing commercial and taking residential as a comparison, it is like an apple against an orange. So choose back apple to apple or orange to orange. The second comparable here is lot 40. It's commercial. Good. It's done. Then the third one is institutional. Remember, it was zoned as institutional. Now it's commercial. So the question that has a trick here is to, if your understanding is good, strong, that it's commercial, choose back commercial, identical, then you are good to go. In short, lot 457 or comparable number 3 is not suitable. And then, of course, number 4. Comparable number 4, lot 14 is suitable because it's commercial. Okay? This is given 4 comparables for you to choose against your sekolah menengah puteri or public school subject property. And of course, again, in AV1, you have question number 6. Again, it's a land acquisition. Okay. But this time, it does not provide you with 1, 2, 3, 4 comparables. It gives you a range between 210 to 290 per unit. That means it gives you a range that you get to choose in between the range. Now, one of the requirement under the MVS 7 comparison approach comparison method, we are not to use an average, meaning you take 210 plus 290, then you get 500, divide by 2, you get 250. I'm good to go. No, you are not allowed to use an average. So you can use 240, which is not an average. The average is 250, or above it, 260. That is the standards. We are not to take an average. Yeah. Okay. Next one. Sales and market comparison method exam focused. There are 8 steps to this. Candidates must master the 8 steps valuation process for this method. So, in this particular video, we're gonna go into it. In my classes, I actually teach our candidate students the 8 steps so that it is much easier to identify the questions and what is expected of the question. Because why? Valuation is very procedural. Yeah. Next thing is you also must assume your subject property that when you evaluate, you are going for the highest and best use, or we call it habu. Valuation must assume the property is to put to the highest level where you can get the maximum value for the client. Yeah. Next, calculation table. In my classes, we also make sure that all the candidates must memorize the comparison method calculation table as required for the exam. Once you memorize the table, which is very procedural, right? Then when you look at the question, you can able to find what to fit into each of the table. If in event the question does not provide you with the figures or data, then you can make an assumption because it's required to complete the table. So this table memorization is very, very important. We stress it to all our candidates that it must be memorized. And then, of course, the key factor focus on the time as a critical adjustment factor, along with other physical and legal factors. Meaning, earlier case was you saw the one on the Jalan Pinggaran 2/5, right? Happens to be exact road to the subject property, but the data provided by JPPH was 2017. So first we have to take into consideration that as time goes by, property will increase in value because of inflation and because of demand and scarcity of land around the subject property. So that's why we have to say focus on time, make the adjustment upwards, downwards, and other adjustments that are appropriate. So in the question, they will provide you with all the adjustment, and you just have to add 5 or add -5. It's always an increment or decrement uh, by 5. Yeah. And finally, coming to the end, the sales and marketing comparison method or MVS 7 compliance. Remember, when we do comparison method, we are to comply with MVS 7 at all times. There's no averaging. You cannot take an average value from different comparables. It cannot be averaged or weighted out. In earlier case, you had one extreme, 210,000, and the other 290. You add them together, you divide by 2, you get an average figure of 250. No, you are not. As a valuer, a professional valuer, you are to make your own judgment and you are not to use a mathematical average. Then obviously you have to take at least 2 year history, must disclose any registered transaction for the subject occurring within 2 years of the valuation. We try not to use valuations that are like 1990 in 2026. It's so off, right? It's not a good comparison. We should take something like 2025, 2024, 2023 for any valuation that happens in your exam, August 2026. Yeah. And of course, under the MVS 7, they made it very professional judgment. The final value must be a reconciliation based on the most comparable adjusted value and the valuer experience. In your case, of course, it's not relevant because you are just learning, but you know one thing, do not take average. And then if you have many figures, you reconcile the figure and add together and become what we call market value. So with that, I'm Tong Chiwa, and thank you for watching this. So hopefully we will come back again and we do another method called residue method so that you can understand how to use it in RRSM graduate entry exam for August 2026 this year. Take care and bye bye.